Next is a rare beauty, rose gold console. And when I mean rare beauty, I truly mean it. These things are extremely difficult to try and assemble in good shape. Like, this one isn't in very good shape. Like, even just sort of looking at it cosmetically, there's some good marks on it. Glossy piece is actually in fairly good shape. There's a good pit right there from a gash. Edges are a little worn. But man, trying to find parts for this rose gold console, or these rose gold consoles, are extremely hard. I don't even think there are any third-party parts, so everything that has to be assembled for these consoles are OEM, which, as time goes on, more OEM parts are just suffering through the grips of time. And aside from the rose gold console being a United States exclusive console, because a lot of really good shape, physically good shape consoles are coming out of Japan, but of course, that doesn't really help me if I want an American exclusive console. Anyway, let's do the normal run of an assessment. Let me check my notes here. Pink, 4 hours, 15-minute battery life. That is respectable. Let me kind of set it up here. 1, 2, 3. So I'll be going through a full assessment here. So what I'll be looking for is this column right down here: motherboard, power board, tactile buttons, touchscreen, speak, microphone, headphone jack, camera, charge port, game card, SD card slot, and the Wi-Fi I won't be doing for a somewhat obvious reason. These DSi consoles don't connect to my access point at my home. It's far too new. I can only get it to connect to a hotspot on my phone, which I'm currently using as a camera. I've never had a console fail that, so I don't worry about it too much. So what I first want to do is turn it on and look at the screens. Ooh, nice. Good color matching. Yeah, that looks good. Cool. And then since I am doing motherboard power board test, just making sure does it go to the settings menu without any problem. It does not have any problems, and it is running version 1.4U, which is the first firmware on the DSi XLs that I'm aware of. I think that's the earliest firmware that was shipped. Okay, next, tactile buttons. I have to keep my sheet near me because I keep forgetting the order, even though I wrote the damn thing. So tactile buttons use an R4 card, has a piece of diagnosing software on it. I'm just thinking this might be the last pink console I saw for a while. I know I sold my last Mario Edition one a while back, but unless I get more junk consoles of this color scheme that just need like a new screen, well, even if it does need a new screen, if this top screen lens isn't in good shape, I can't use it, nor can I find replacements. Anyway, tactile button test. So it just turns this entire bottom screen into like a testing grid where it has buttons corresponding with a light. Then what I'll be doing is just pressing all the buttons several times. Face buttons I'm not worried about, they're almost always fine. Sometimes the D-pad can have problems, but most of the time it's also fine. Shoulder buttons, however, are the problems. Ah, like right now. Not getting anything out of the R button. Nothing at all. Like, I need to see if I can try and get a response. If I can't, then it's most likely just that internal portion is corroded, or it's possible that, I don't know, the ribbon cable popped free, which I don't think I've seen before. but I'm getting absolutely nothing from this R button, so that might just have to be a straight replacement. L button, however, they definitely sound a little different. Which really is not really a meaningful thing to point out that they sound different, but it's obvious in their behavior that there's something wrong with the R button. So I'll press the L button. I'll kind of press it from the right side of the button to the left side of the button and sort of in between, like the center of the button as well, just to make sure that it's inputting every time I'm clicking. Do slow inputs. Yeah, and O button's fine. So let's get this R button dealt with. Let me look at it and see if it has anything obviously wrong with it. Oh, I didn't add that on my filter. Well, thank you, Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. One moment. Oh. Actually, I think I can... Is it... Oh, well, that doesn't really help me, but, you know, whatever. What I should do is get a... Get an unmoderated chat on my screen so I don't have to see that. I'm just going to go ahead and hide it then. All right. Anyway. So the pink and the white consoles are kind of interesting because they use... Ooh, that screw post is stripped. Fantastic. What I failed to do on the last console I just did is I didn't check my notes. Let me do that real quick on this one. Assembled. It's my only pink console, rose gold. Let's see. Motherboard wise, there's no known issues. Console notes. Oh, I noted upper screen flickering. Oh, that's annoying. I didn't see anything when I was looking at it today. Soldered digitizer cable. Ooh, okay. I'm gonna look at that. Small motherboard screw and game card slot posts are stripped. Man, this thing comes with a lot of baggage. Okay. So I resoldered the digitizer. I don't really want to screw with it if I don't have to. But I need to be able to sort of assess it here. Let me get my microscope on it. So I'm not too worried about it if I have to replace the touchscreen. I think this was my attempt to salvage it. Maybe I did a good enough job. It looks pretty all right from where I'm at, but I need to get a closer look on it. Oh, well, it would help if I plug the darn thing in. Well, that's not helpful. There we are. Alright, so what I'm looking for is this little ribbon cable right here. Well, that was the fix that I did, which... looks like it's not that bad. It looks like it did pretty good, actually. Those are soldered connections, so... I'll note... I have it noted in my records, my digital records, so... I'll just see if it ever becomes a problem. It might be perfectly suitable as a connection. Because the portion of the ribbon cable that I soldered now becomes rigid, which doesn't impact my ability to put it in to the connector. But my touchscreen test is right after the face button test, so we'll see if that's actually a problem. So the right button was having an issue. Okay, so let's get that off. If I just have to straight replace it, I can do that. I still have enough kicking around. I can try and find a shoulder button. I'm guessing any of them, if that's just an OEM button. I should be able to see. Not really. Huh. This button looks great. It doesn't have rust on it. It could be just something that needs a good cleaning, because this button assembly looks good otherwise. Let me try, just for the sake of it, I'm just gonna try cleaning it. All I'll do is fill my little bottle cap full of rubbing alcohol, completely submerge the button. I'll do this way, and then just click it a bunch with my plastic pry tool. Try it. Sort of the idea is to actuating that button sort of presses that contact against the board, sort of acting as like a mechanical cleaner, and then having it submerged sort of will help it flush out. Click it a few times. And basically see, does this revive any sort of input for the R button? If it doesn't, it could just be it's completely corroded away, which in that case, no amount of cleaning is going to fix it. Okay. Try and dry it out as best I can. It was 91% alcohol. It should dry fast. I can try and see if I can just do an external test of the button. This is a little hard because of just how I have to hold my multimeter, but this will be the quickest way to know if I actually did anything meaningful or if I just wasted my time. I'm on continuity. Now I gotta kind of hold everything in place here with one hand. I could technically just have my other probe on connected to the game card slot, but where's the fun in that? So I'm getting absolutely nothing. My meter isn't budging either. I'm pretty sure I'm on the points. I'm actually touching the points. Yeah, this button's not giving me any response whatsoever. You know what? Since I'm starting with some science, I'm going to continue with some science. So there, I have seen a video once of somebody actually being able to pry apart this button while it's still soldered to clean it. Right now, this button is garbage to me. No amount of cleaning is going to fix it, so it's most likely it's corroded. I'm going to see. I might need to get my Omnivice, something a little stronger. I want to see if I can peel away this casing without desoldering it, which I don't necessarily think I really can without destroying. Or my sort of frame of thought was if you rip this button apart, it's going to destroy it, for one. It's never going to come back together, for two. At best, you get a button that works, but it might feel weird because that metal casing doesn't go back on all the way, or maybe it has a hard time fitting. But if anything, we'll be able to see what's sort of wrong, even if it is kind of diverging away from the test. I don't really think I have a good enough implement to try and take this thing apart. Now I'm using just a sewing needle to push it apart. Probably not good for those two solder joints up front, but you know what? We're here for science. Now I gotta see if I can push this metal piece forward. Okay. Let's see what's behind door number 1. Which is right there. So I pushed the metal forward and bent it back. Ooh, and it's already not looking good. Okay, the little rubber piece is out. So now what we're looking at is sort of the conductive dome. Ideally, I need to try and get that out. Okay, it's coming out pretty easily. Maybe. My understanding is this was held down by adhesive, but it might just be friction and just the shape of it is kind of in a groove, so to speak, so it doesn't need to be held down with adhesive. Ooh, yeah, look at that. Okay. Um, that's not good. So this little dome is supposed to be nice and clean and shiny, but it is caked. I'll try and see if I can clean it. I kind of want to just look in here. Yummy. Look at that corrosion. So even though it looked perfectly fine on the outside, it's not perfectly fine on the inside. And trying to clean in there is a bit of a pain. Q-tip's way too big. That might be about as good. It looks like the contacts are still there. It's really kind of a hard angle to get to. Just like a little bit of crud on it. I wonder how it got corroded. Maybe just a little bit of water got in. It looks like the actual contacts for it are still there. Alright, so then we can focus on the actual point that's important. This is probably the part that was causing the problem in the first place. Just this part being gunked up. Yeah, I don't think these ever had stickers on them, so what I am aware of is that these things scratch really easily. I'll try and be gentle with it. Because I think they're just plated. So if you scratch it, so if I try scratching that gunk off with a sewing needle, I'll scratch the plating off. Let me just do some voltage testing on it and just see if if it's conductive enough. It's not conductive on this little black bit. I think that's just chunked away. Well, I might as well see if I can scratch it off. Well, voltage testing is telling me even when I'm scratching at it, it's not making it less conductive. That seems not so much odd, but that doesn't seem to line up with how I understood how this worked. Just that constant beep in the background is just the it having continuity. And see, I am flaking off something. So something is flaking off. Like I am scratching off a coating, but it isn't the conductive coat. It might be a conductive coating still, but that doesn't render the entire thing unconductive. It might just be, it won't be as conductive. I actually don't know. So I sent that thing to the moon. Oh no, here it is. Okay. I scratched at it pretty good and, well, still conductive. So I want to get rubbing alcohol on it to try and clean it, and then I'll try and see if I can get it all back together. Okay. Now here's the hard part. Here's the thing that I don't think really works in reality. Putting it back together. Like opening it up and cleaning it, sure. That's easy enough. But that's the easy part. Getting it back together again is the problem. Put in the little rubber guy. Now try and just... Oh, well. I broke the solder joints up front. For now, I'm not going to worry about that. I just fatigued the solder joints off. Let me see where I put my more sort of robust pliers. Ah! And not do that. For the record, I would not feel comfortable trying to sell a console with this type of repair on it. This would be sort of a proof that whether or not this is actually a valid way of repairing a shoulder button if, like, you don't want to spend money on a shoulder button ribbon. But I mean, right now there's still, so you can still source them pretty easily from AliExpress. Just going through all this effort really... Is this really easier than just buying a couple dollar shoulder button assembly and just getting on with your life? Okay, I think that actually is on there. Pretty okay. So now let me do a voltage test on it. I'm gonna sort of get rid of this portion of my paper towel because it has corrosion and maybe flecks of metal. I just don't want to deal with that getting anywhere. All right, I'll bet that this works probably fine now, which... Let me get my probes on it. Breaking the solder joints up front don't matter. That's just part of the housing, which I could try and resolder back on, but I'm not really worried about that right now. So I gotta put probe in the middle, contact in the outer contact. Those are the two that are only connected. It doesn't really matter where I put it in the outer contact. I just sort of... I'm still not getting anything. It's possible that I didn't clean the board side very well. But you can kind of see the button shifting Those two front contacts are very important. But that shouldn't have anything to do with its ability to ground, because those aren't actually connected to circuit. Was that connected right there? Try and actually get on the contact of the button itself. Okay, I'm still not getting anything. So, that doesn't necessarily invalidate that as a repair method. But it's a whole hell of a lot of work with a button that's damaged. And again, like, situations will vary, but it's just so much easier to just buy another one of these. Or even you can buy these little button assemblies, these little switches, and just solder them on. They're not that difficult to solder on. Problem I have with like third-party button solutions is they feel and they sound different, which is a bit hard to explain without actually having them in person, but they're far clickier and they're louder. So if you were to repair one, you need to do both at once. So I got a different one out of my spare pile. It is in good shape, physically. Sounds good. It doesn't have like a dull click to it. No real point in doing this, because I'm going to assume that this button's fine. Of course, I won't really know until I test it, but I'll just do a multimeter testing on it, since I have my multimeter kind of handy. Yeah, and it responded to those initial inputs. Well, let's get this back together. Hello, Adelaide. Oh, you let go of that. Is it behaving or giving me trouble? No, not so much. Not in unexpected ways. Just one of the shoulder buttons was, not good. It's very bad, actually. So I had to replace it. It looked fine from the outside, but it was all dark and crusty in the inside. Like how I feel on some days. I'll be pretty confident that that shoulder button will be fine. I will test it though. R4 card again. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Well, that's an R button. They definitely sound more in parity. The left isn't louder than the right. They're about the same clickiness. Okay, I am happy with that. I will put the rest of the console together though. Screw post being stripped kind of sucks. Technically isn't a regular screw. Like you typically don't put that type of screw there, but this is one of the two variants. How many of these do I fix in a year? Well, kind of depending on your definition of fix. Because when I get these consoles in, I usually try to buy broken consoles. Either consoles that have a problem with it or consoles that like don't turn on for whatever reason. But what I'll usually do is take them completely apart. I sort of isolate the bad parts. Put all the good parts in one pile, bad parts in another pile, and then I assemble these consoles out of the good parts. So I suppose I am fixing them, but it's kind of a cheap way of fixing them where you just replace all the bad stuff with good stuff. Which I guess is replacing. But since I am assembling them out of a pile of parts, it's almost like a ship of Theseus type of deal. Like this pink console, the internals that are in this pink console did not come with this pink console. Like, this motherboard could have come out of a blue console. These screens could have come out of a green console. Obviously, the buttons came out of another... It could have come from a completely different pink console, so... Because I'm not so much in the fixing it type of deal. Ah, yeah, you're probably right. Let it be known for the records. But I know I've thought about the idea of running a repair service, but it would be so specific to just the DSi platform that I have no doubt I would get customers, but when you do sort of repair services, you need to be a lot more generalized. Like, I would have to be good at repairing DSIs as well as DS Lites and 3DS consoles, which I could do. A lot of the principles of repairing these types of consoles sort of transfer between the 3DS platform and the DS Lite, but I just don't have the parts. I would have to either order them or have parts shipped with the console, which ordering parts can be a month-long endeavor if I get them from China. So, or they could be very expensive if I try to get them off of like eBay sellers. Yes, yeah, and I could try that. It's more of, then it becomes more of a logistical problem. Either I would have to build my own website and sort of have systems in place to do that, or I try and do it through eBay, which apparently people do. They have repair services through eBay. I just don't know how that payment system would work. With just, from what I understand of eBay's payment, either they ask for a really high upfront cost and then they just refund whatever service was necessary. Because I don't think eBay specifically covers that type of service, so if anything went wrong, eBay would side with the buyer, and that could cost me a lot of money unnecessarily. There's just a lot of logistical things. Like, the easiest way for me to do that would just be to post something on Facebook Marketplace and only do like local repairs for people in my area. But then that even narrows down my pool of potential clients down to single digits if I'm lucky. But yeah, that's all. The easiest way would be to make my own website and try and do that in the most secure way that would make the buyer and myself comfortable, or have enough baseline level of security that we can trust each other, that we're not going to scam one another. eBay has a fairly high level of security in that front. Even if I say like, yeah, they do side with the buyer most of the time, since I'm not intentionally trying to scam people, that's not really what I'm trying to do. That would definitely be something that would be a lot harder for me to defend against. I guess I wouldn't have the tools, the knowledge, or the services to protect me as a seller. So somebody could just walk away with one of my $100+ consoles, or even if I got in a repair and did like $80 worth of repair on it, like what's to really stop them from just like not paying or charge backing their card or whatever. It's too risky for what I'm doing for this, so for now I'm just doing this, and maybe that's something I can explore in the future if I find a reasonable way of doing it. Anyway, our button is good. So what I want to try now, I'll do the 2 tests I only need to do once. So that will be, does the console go into sleep? And stay in sleep. So I'll do that with a magnet over the little magnetic component right between the A and the B button. What I'm looking for is if do both screens cut to black and the power light is breathing, so it is in sleep right now. This is usually when you close the console, the magnet and the speaker will trigger that little magnetically sensitive component. When I remove the magnet, console comes back out of sleep. Perfect. I'll do an image retention test, which what I'll do is sit on the DSI sounds menu for just a minute, 2 minutes or so, and see if any of these background elements of the DSI sound menu transfers over to the DSI settings menu when I swap over to that. And that's an odd phenomenon I'm not entirely understanding of, but it almost behaves similar to OLED burn-in, and to the best of my knowledge, that is just the sign of the screens are failing. Screen and image retention, I'm just making that in my little sheet, my little note sheet, so that I can check it off so I only have to do this test once. And I'll probably do another minute. So I did do the input test, and that did pass. So next would be touchscreen, which will be an interesting one since I had that repaired digitizer. It's responding to all the zones I'm clicking, so I'm fairly confident in that fix. It looked pretty robust as well. I don't expect those joints to fail. And with those sort of digitizer ribbons, they just sort of break contacts due to the fatiguing, just bending those cables too many times. Or they're just old. There's that too. Alright, that's been 2-ish minutes. Swap over quickly the DSI system settings. Yeah, I don't really see anything. Top screen's good. So what I'm looking for is sort of a very clear DSI sound setting, like checkerboard pattern. The bottom screen I don't really. I do just a tiny bit. Now, the DSI settings always seems to have the shading on the left side of the buttons. I do notice a very minor like vertical shading, but I don't see anything else. So then when what I'll do is just press the power button. To sort of see if I see these elements, which I do on the bottom screen a little. Like when I was first soft resetting it, it was pretty clear, but now it's sort of gone away. It's still kind of there. The image retention on soft resets, my understanding is, really doesn't mean anything. It could be a potential sign of the screen beginning to fail, but it could take 2 years before it shows more signs of failure. It could be in 3 months. It could be in 10 years. It's really hard to say. So for now, I just kind of have... it works now, and that's kind of what's important. I really have no basis of knowledge to say that the screen is on its way out. It only has X amount of hours left in it, or maybe these screens have had a couple hundred hours in it and they're still rated for another 800 more hours or what have you. I really can't say. Let's see. Okay. So now we can get to the proper testing again. So touchscreen is next. I have an R4. I'll slap my R4 card in. I have a software that will turn the bottom screen into a touchpad. Or a sketchpad. I notice it's a little off. That's most likely a calibration issue. Let me just do that. I'll just bypass going into the settings and use the shortcut to go into the touchscreen calibration, which is holding both shoulder buttons and start and select while powering on the console. Let's try that again. That's a lot better. Okay. So I did a full input all the way around. Can't really see it because the edges of the screen are black and my sketch inputs are also black. But when I do the perimeter like that, what I'm looking for is like dead zones in the screen. I did press the R button, so I think... Oh, interesting, okay. Yeah, I accidentally pressed the L button, which took my pen size to 0. Okay, my bad. Anyway, that was a mistake on my end. What I'm looking for when I'm doing the perimeter is if I go down and it just does like a jagged input on the corner, and nothing I do gets any response in this area, so this zone of the touchscreen is just dead. Which in this case, it's fine. I did a perimeter, I didn't see anything like that, so I'll just do swirls, see if I see any like erratic inputs. I don't see anything, so I think touchscreen's good. My little repair job was otherwise fine, because I think this touchscreen's in really good shape. There's a couple small hair scratches, but it is OEM, so I want to keep it. So since it was in good shape, I think it was worth me trying to fix it. Next is speaker, microphone, and headphone jack. I'll sort of combo this with a SD card slot test. Now I do want to test the microphone. The console I did just a little bit ago had pretty aggressive buzzing in it, and I want to know if that's mostly normal or if I need to replace that microphone. La 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 la! La 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 la! La la la! That microphone's actually really clear. There's no... There is sort of that like baseline humming from just the area I'm in. But yeah, I might need to replace that microphone on the other console. Alright. Open up the SD card slot, or the sort of play my music area. It opens up the SD card, it reads the song, doing the volume buttons, the little software level, or the little software level is working. All I'll do is play that song, get my earbuds, listen to both channels to see if it's working. Or all four, both stereo channels on both the speakers and the headphones. Yep. And the console being able to play a song off the SD card, that tells me that the SD card slot is working to the best of my knowledge. That's really all that needs to be tested. Next is camera. And really what I'm looking for is, do both cameras initialize? Do they show an image? And the image is relatively clear. Which, yes. I'm not expecting a perfect image, but it is a DSi after all. Next is game card slot and SD card slot, which I already confirmed the SD card slot, so I can move on to the game card slot exclusively. Now that's what this rather daunting stack of game cards off to the top of the screen is for. Okay, so what I'll do is grab a game card, just slot it in normally. Game shows up. Then I'll put my fingers on it and shift it from side to side. There's a tiny bit of play to see if the game card disappears. So far, so good. Then what I'll do is put a little bit of pressure while shifting it from side to side. I'll continue explaining before I address that. I'll keep pressing it down until I hit the ejection point, and then I'll just go a little further down until I actually bottom it out in the game card slot, which is quite a ways, and see if the game card disappears, which it did once. So game card's ejected. I'll put it back in, and then do that test again. This may have been the game card that flubbed up once on the last console I did. I think this is the same one, so it might just be a little quirk with this game card. Because I'm not able to get it to cut out again. Every time it's disappearing, it's because I ejected it. So far so good. So then what I'll do is sort of smack the console against my open palm, try and see if I can get that game card to disappear, and to see if, well, the battery dislodges and powers the console off. Which, so far so good. I will put that kind of aside. I'll test it a little later. But I'll just do that test on the rest of my 20 game cards that I have right here. I'll just kind of do them in rather rapid succession. Ooh, that one did it again. It did it just once. Similar to that Harry Potter game, and I can't repeat it. Try as I might. Like, I'm trying fairly... Oh, that was past the ejection point, which... I will put it aside, but... My kind of reasoning, if it disconnects past the ejection point, which is sort of a point of no return, I'm not too worried about it, because if you accidentally place your press your game card in that far, it's coming out anyway. And I don't really imagine a scenario where the game card being able to read perfectly past the ejection point is valuable. Other than just like overall game card slot or like health, I suppose. Well, so far so good. Oh, I never checked the charge port. I was kind of looking down at my USB tester. I'm like, I haven't touched that in a while. I can do that after this. That has no bearing on the ability of this thing to read game cards. I usually do that test after the camera. That's kind of why I like having that sheet kicking around so I can see it, so I don't miss anything. Alright, try as I might, I couldn't get any of those cards to disconnect aside from these two, which kind of popped out. I'll try them again. Maybe just the friction of all of those game cards going in and out. Maybe it just needed a really minor cleaning. Now this one isn't cutting out. And they're not cutting out in the ways that sort of suggest a problem, at least from my experience. Like now I can't get either of these to cut out. That one didn't connect when I clicked it in, which was odd. So right now it's clicked in. I've noticed this just might be a software issue where if you click in a game card too quickly, it just kind of fails to read it. That's not a game card slot issue, to the best of my knowledge. Could be a game card or just a weird software glitch. So I can't get it to disconnect, so I'm fairly happy with the performance. I will give it a cleaning just to see if I can sort of catch if maybe it was the game card slot was just a tiny bit dirty. That's why I had a problem reading those 2 game cards at first. But I couldn't repeat those problems. So I need to test the charge port. So grab my charger, plug it in. Software indicator is saying it's charging, solid orange light says it's charging, and my amp draw says it is also charging. So I'll close the console and then just sort of jiggle the charge port around, or charge cable around to see if that orange light disconnects. Which it doesn't, so that tells me that the charge port is good and the solder joints on the board are good as well. So that is a pass on test 1 after replacing the R button was really all I needed to do. So let me do a clean on the game card slot. Might as well just use the Harry Potter game since that was the one that had the first problem. Sort of dribble rubbing alcohol over the pins. 91% in this case. 99 would probably be better, but 91 is what I have available right now. And then just sort of taking in and out of the card slot multiple times. And I'm fairly confident this will make this game card slot basically perfect, since it pretty much was already very good. Alright. So I'm happy with that. It passed first test. I'll give it a good day or 2 for that alcohol to really dry. I'll put it on the bottom of my testing stack and test the next one in that pile. I'll probably do that tomorrow. I think I'm gonna call it good for today, get some lunch, and carry on with other activities that I have planned.